Hello, I'm John Weiler with the Sovereign Passage Assembly, and this is our daily brief for December 10th, 2018. We're going to start our beginning study of this week's Parsha, which is Vayashev, and that means, and he lived. And the reading here for the Parsha, the entire Parsha, is Bere'shiyth, or Genesis, chapter 37, verse 1, to chapter 40, verse 23. And today we're going to study, we're going to read and talk about chapter 37. Okay, so let's start. We begin by reading the Word, and then we discuss the Word, what the Word says, and then we end right there. So let's read it. And Yaakov dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, and in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Yaakov. Yoceph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's woman. And Yoceph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Yasharel loved Yoceph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Yoceph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, for this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams, and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down yourselves to you to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Yasharel said unto Yoceph, Do not your brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send you unto them. And he said to them, Here am I. He said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray you, see whether it will be well with your brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What do you seek? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray you, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Yoceph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said to one another, Behold, this dreamer comes. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him, and cast him into some pit. And we will say, Some evil beast has devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Yoceph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Yoceph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelim came from Gilad, with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Mitzrayim. And Yehudah said unto his brethren, What profit is it that we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him into the Ishmaelim, and let not our hands be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. And they were passed by Midianim merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Yoceph out of the pit, and sold Yoceph unto the Ishmaelim for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Yoceph into Mitzrayim. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Yoceph was not in the pit. And he rent his clothes, and he returned unto his brethren, and said, The child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, This have we found. Know now whether it be your son's coat or no. And he knew it. And he said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast has devoured him. Yoceph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Yaakov rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned his son for many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. Then he said, For I will go down into Sheol unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianim sold him into Mitzrayim unto Potiphar, an officer and of Pharaoh's, and captain of the guard. Okay, so that's quite an account there. This is coming out of what we studied last Sabbath, where Yaakov struggles in the dark with the man, okay, and the light comes, or his day is breaking, and the man just tells him to let him go. And Yaakov is blessed. His name is no longer supplanter or heel catcher. It is the upright of Yasharel, the upright. And we see the struggle with man last week with the sons, with the daughter Dinah, with the children, the household of Yaakov, as they are interacting with the people of Shechem. Shechem means burden, okay, burden of the yoke, okay, or it's a ridge, but it's a ridge in the shape of a yoke. So the burden of the yoke, and what they chose. I mean, as far as to whether they were next to Shechem or they were also next to a town where their tents were pitched, which is shalom or completeness, but they chose to go towards the burden of the yoke. Okay, and that's really our lesson. That was our discussion here this last Sabbath with my family, is what do we choose? Do we choose the completeness of the way of YAHUAH, Shalom, or do we continue to choose the burden of the yoke, Shechem? And then the Parsha itself ended last week with them getting rid of their idols in the burden of the yoke and leaving them there, and then coming out and going to Beitel, the house of El, and then further on to Ephrath, which is fruitfulness. Okay? But we're still seeing the after effects here, or the process, we could call it the process here, of coming out of the world. Now, when we do our daily briefs, there's a lot that can be said about this particular account, just this chapter 37, that relate to a much broader picture through the Torah itself, through the nation, the group of people of Yasharel, and then up to Messiah, okay, and then further on to us, okay, because we will be coming back together again, this house of Yoceph, okay, the house of Yehuda. But what we're going to be focusing on primarily in our daily briefs is how can we relate this into our lives, okay? Because we're seeing this path right now of coming out of the world, just like our path. Now, I can relate directly to myself with, I'm on going into my third year of devoting my life completely to the way of Yah. And only truly, though, the last probably 3 or 4 months have I really grasped the concept of what it means to devote ourselves completely to the way of Yah. And that is to hearken to the words of Mashiach, who says to get rid of all the things. Okay, go and sell your possessions, give to the poor, and then you can follow me. Where Mashiach says, if you don't hate your family, you don't hate those around you, even yourself, you can't be his disciple. That's what he says. And that doesn't mean to go hate people. It means if you can't leave these things behind and then turn to the way of Yah, then you're going to end up being double-minded, as Yaakov or James tells us. You're going to end up still serving the two masters and striving to serve the one, but still serving the two masters. Okay, loving the one and hating the other. So you have to get rid of the two masters, okay? And what we're seeing here is still the concept, that concept coming out with the sons, the household of Yaakov. Now, for us who are striving for righteousness, that's what we're striving. We're striving to hearken to the words of Mashiach, all right, which are the words of YAHUAH, all right? There's no difference there. As we are striving for these things, we need to pay attention here. Because number one, I have children, and I love them very much, you know, and I want them to be, I want us all to be together at all times. Okay, this life and the life to come. And as a parent, YAHUAH has charged me and my wife with the protection, with the upbringing, and with the desire to instill love inside of them. Okay, and really after when we turn fully to the way of Yah, do we really grasp that concept, the totality of what it means to love? Okay, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, because we're seeing the opposite of that with the sons of Yaakov. Now, these are the children of the upright of El, Yasharel. Okay, and they're not behaving as the upright of El. And we see this throughout his word. So, like, I believe it's Eli with Samuel. When we start to read about Samuel, when he was a young son, it's Eli's sons, who was the Kohen Gadol at that point. His children were behaving terribly. But he had devoted himself, Eli had devoted himself to the way of Yah, because that was his, you know, as far as the birthright, he was carrying the birthright there. But what was neglected, in my perception and as it relates here, is teaching his children. And that's what Moshe tells us in Devarim, is what we are to do, is to teach our household, is to take the words of Yah and put it on our doorposts, right? So we need to, as we are today, okay, who have the completeness of his word, the fullness of the way, okay, through Yahushua HaMashiach, we have the understanding and the outpouring of the Spirit of Elohim, the Ruach of Elohim. Our focus now, for the utmost important, is this next generation to come, because the world is wicked, increasingly so. It's so wicked in ways now that we don't realize it. We only realize that as we start to fully turn and to get rid of these idols, okay, our idols, and what is putting the yoke of burden on our necks. Okay, we don't really quite even get that concept. What Mashiach says is, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. We don't really even quite understand what that means until we actually throw off what our burdens are in this life, which is our idols, which are money, power, desire, whatever, okay, stuff, things of this flesh. So let's go then to what we're looking at as the household of Yaakov is coming out of the world, because it's a process, and it's a very painful process, and it's one that we have to pay very close attention to. Otherwise, we just kind of exist between two lives. It's not really lifestyles, although they are, because you're doing some of Yah's way, and then you're still doing the things of the flesh or of the world, you know. And it tears us apart. But what's occurring, though, is a shift. Okay, if we can kind of picture like a sliding scale in a sense, where one side of that scale is the lust of the flesh, the way of this world. Okay, of Esau is Edom. Okay, Edom means red. Adam means red. Adam is also man. Okay, so Edom, Adam, they can be seen as the same thing, and it tells us Esau is Edom, so Esau is man. So the way of man, and in 2 Esdras, Esau is the end of this world. So man is the end of this world. There is nothing further with man. Okay, but Yaakov is the beginning of the world to come. So as he came out of the womb, Yaakov was hanging onto the heel of Esau, who was man. Okay, so the world to come. So we have this sliding scale where we wake up, all right, as prisoners in this world. Because we are in prison, we're in the darkness. Okay, we're still struggling with man in the dark, just as Yaakov was. But we don't see it that way. We're just in it, because that's all we've ever known. We've only known these things. We've only known hardship in life. This life is hard, and it is hard. It's very hard. But we've just accepted it that this is what it is. And we have these idols that we put in front of us that just give us comfort in these very difficult, trying times. And then the more that we lean towards the way of man, the darker we become, and the more that we embrace wickedness, but we see wickedness as good. Okay? So even though we might be doing things on the surface to help somebody, it's actually for us. Okay? There's still something underneath that we're going to benefit from, even if we don't realize it. Okay, even if it's not like the first thing on our mind, that's just a benefit. Well, okay, but it's still, you're doing something that is going to benefit yourself, and it's selfish, focused on yourself. Okay, so we have this on this end of that sliding scale, which is man in the darkness. Well, we're going to have to come out of that into the light, into the way of Yah. So we have this path, or we have this scale that we can picture in our mind as we're coming out. And there is changes that occur during that path. And they're very painful sometimes, and sometimes they're very joyous. We're just overcome with joy because we just realize something that we never realized before, and it's in our spirit. And it's giving us life. It's saying, it's like you just thrown that thing off. I can breathe now. I can stand up. So it's a process, and it's going to be different for everybody as far as how long that's going to take. All right? Because there's only one way to the kingdom of Yah, and that's through our door, Yahushua HaMashiach, to where we can repent and turn back to the way of Yah. Okay? Repentance for forgiveness. That's the Besorah, the good news. So we can see this here because the sons of Yoceph are still behaving as the world here. Now, Yoceph, he was 17 years old. Right now it says Yaakov is in the land of his father, so Hebron area, and that's southwest of Yerushalayim proper. Okay, and so he's in the area where Yitzhak had dwelled, and his father Yitzhak was a stranger, and Yoceph now is 17 years old. And Yoceph was out feeding the flock with his brothers, and he was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah. Okay, so that'd be Dan, Naphtali, which is the sons of Bilhah, and Gad and Asher. Okay, so he's out with them. He comes in and brings his father an evil report. Okay, so something that they were doing that was not that was contrary to the way of Yah. And it says, now Yashua loved Yoceph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. Okay, I looked up the word colors right there, and colors is the word pak, P-A-C. And that means the palm of the hand, or the sole of the foot, or long-sleeve tunic, or many breadths. Okay, that's the usage. That's Strong's H6446. It has nothing to do with color, though, okay, like different colors. It has everything to do with being long and wide, all right? Long and wide. So he's given him a bigger tunic or a bigger coat. And which was different. It was more. And it seems now that he holds Yoceph in higher esteem, and that's manifest in the things that he has given Yoceph over his other sons. And they hated him for it. Okay, the rest of the brothers hated him, and they could not speak peaceably unto him. So all the words coming out of the sons' mouths were hate. Okay, we're all driven by hate. Now, we talked last week about, how Mashiach tells us that murder is with our words. Okay, murder or kill. We can kill with our words because that's a spiritual. When we speak, it's a manifestation of what's in our ruach. Okay, our ruach. A ruach is spirit, breath, or wind. That would be the usage of the word ruach. So our words are a manifestation of our ruach as it relates to death. Okay, because our words are death. Human beings. Because we see it right here, they hated Yoceph because they wanted they saw something that was different than what they received from Yaakov, their father. Okay, could not speak peaceably unto him. Okay, so it's very important for us to pay attention here because their words were death. Okay, to Yoceph. And it tells us about Yoceph dreaming a dream, and he says here, which is Shema. Okay, Shema is hearken to or hear and do something with. Okay, Shema. It says, I pray you, this dream where I had dreamed, he said, for behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance unto my sheaves, so bowed down to my sheaves. And his brothers got upset about that. He says, what, are you going to reign over us? Or shall you have dominion over us? And they hated him more for that. Okay, so God just tells them in dreams, like, hey, listen, this is important. I had this dream where we're binding sheaves of I guess grain here, but sheaves in the field. And he says, my sheaf arose and stood upright, and yours did too, but then yours bowed down to mine. And they're like, what, you're in charge of us now, and you shall reign over us, have dominion over us? And they hated him for that. And then he dreamt another dream, told it to his brothers, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and his brethren, and his father rebuked him and says, what is this dream that you've dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come and bow down yourselves to you to the earth? And the brethren were upset again. Father rebuked him, but his father observed the saying. So Yaakov paid attention to what dream that Yoceph has. Now, as we start to go on and learning more about Yoceph as he goes down into Mitzrayim or Egypt, we see how this comes true. That Yoceph is blessed by YAHUAH. And we can see by his behavior that his alignment, his spiritual alignment is of that of the way of Yah. Okay, and it's also contrary to his brother's spiritual alignment, which is still in the desires of man, of Edom, of Adam, the desires of this world, and they are in friction with each other, conflict with each other. And the reaction here from man is hatred, which is killing with words. Okay, so they hated him. They hated him to the point to where we read here in this chapter that they want to murder him. So they are killing with his words, and then they want to kill him with their bodies, physically. So this is very important to us, for us today coming out, okay? Because we will get and be around people, and as we start to align ourselves, or our spiritual direction is changing from the ways of man, okay, so the ways of this world, the desires of our flesh, to the way of Yahuwah, we will be torn up inside, because we don't realize how sick we really are until we hear, first of all, the voice of Yahuwah, who has been calling to us since the foundation of the world through Yahushua HaMashiach. Hear the voice of our shepherd. And then we turn to him. Okay, we make a concerted effort to stop living the ways that we've always known, which is death, and turn to his way, which is life. There are things that we're still carrying in this burden of the yoke that we don't realize. You know, we think that we're pretty good people most of the time. You know, there's very few people that think that I'm a bad person and I do bad things and then I desire to do bad things. Some people there are, but, you know, ultimately we as a being don't really tend to think of ourselves as bad. All right. So, but we're wicked. And we're wicked in ways that we don't understand, because even with the word wicked, we don't quite understand what that means in relation to the way of Yah. Wickedness is contrary, walking against the way of Yah. So that's wickedness, and that's what causes here the hatred, which brings death. Okay, it brings death of the spirit and brings death physically, the desire for it here. So we don't quite realize where we are until we turn to his way, and then it becomes, we have the immersion in his word, okay, the water, which is his word, and then we have the immersion of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is fire, and all this, the foundations that we have inside with our spirit. We're creating our foundation of Yahushua HaMashiach as our doorway to come back into that relationship, to repent and be forgiven and accepted as sons again of Yahuwah, so that Yahuwah can now dwell within this tabernacle, okay, our bodies, but it has to be a set-apart place. Be holy, because I am holy. So when we're immersed in the word of Yah, we're being sanctified by his word. His word is truth. Okay, that's what Yahushua prays in John 17:17 for us. So as that's happening, we're being burnt out in all the things that do not belong in a set-apart dwelling place for the Ruach HaKodesh, the spirit breath wind of the set-apart spirit breath wind, the Ruach of Elohim, that does not belong there, is going to go away. And it's going to be painful. We're not going to realize what's happening. We're just going to feel kind of discombobulated, because we're going away from the things that we've always known into something that we haven't really had a true concept understanding of. And now we are. It is starting to hurt, but it's also feeling good. It's starting to hurt, and then it feels good. It feels right, but it still hurts. And then pretty soon it doesn't hurt so much, but it still feels right. And then it doesn't hurt. And then you can see the path, and then you have that relationship. Okay, but it takes time. It takes time to get to the way of Yah. So here we have the same path that the sons of Yaakov are on right now. Yoceph seems to be a little bit further on. He's also younger. The others do not. Okay, they're still in that place where it's painful to them. And we see a shift in the sons of Yaakov as time goes on, especially as a result of their spiritual direction and their physical actions here with their brother. Okay, so we ourselves have to be very careful during this time, as we are coming out of the world, with our words. We have to be very careful with our thoughts. Okay, that's the orientation of our ruach, because they'll manifest to the physical. Okay, they'll manifest in the spiritual, our words. So we need to take this account here and go to look at where we are. Okay, do we get upset with people? How quickly and how easily do we get upset with people? Do we still speak poorly about people? All right, do we say so-and-so's stupid? All right, that guy's an idiot over there. Or that girl's really dumb. Do we do things like that? Do we speak gossipy? Okay, do we talk about so-and-so or whatever they're doing in their lives and what happened? Did you hear what happened to this? Do we still do that? Okay, because those are our spiritual attacks, which is death, right? Murder, death with our words. Do we still do that? Or do we focus on ourselves and we say, okay, I see where I'm at, where I am lacking, and what do I need to do spiritually to align my spirit closer to the way of Yah? All right, because it tells us here that Yaakov sent his son to go check on his brothers. And they're way up in Shechem, north of Jerusalem, north of Hebron, north of Jerusalem, all the way up into Shechem. And couldn't find him there, and they went further up to Dothan. And I looked up Dothan. I could not find that in the Strong's Concordance. But Dothan can possibly mean wells or two cisterns. Okay, and that's the NOBSE Study Bible name list. Okay, but he finds somebody, goes to Shechem, finds somebody in the field and says, hey, where's my brothers? Have you seen them? They said, nah, but I heard they're going to go up to Dothan. So he says, okay, and he goes up to Dothan, and his brothers see him coming a way off, and then they plot to kill him. And Reuben says, no, don't do it. Don't shed any blood. Let's just let's put him down in this pit that's in the wilderness. Lay no hands upon him, that he might rid him. So Reuben says, don't kill him. Just put him down this pit, and I'm going to go back and deliver him, and bring him down to his father. That was kind of Reuben's intentions there. So we see a change in Reuben, because at the end of the last Parsha, Reuben laid with Bilhah. All right, that's a big deal. So we see a change here, okay? And he's going to deliver Yoceph, whom his father loves, back to his father's hands. So they strip his coat off, okay? So this coat of many colors are his length, many breadths, you could call that, or many lengths, his coat. And they took him and threw him down into this pit. This pit is like a cistern, all right, and there's no water in it. And then they sat down to eat, and they see this Yishmaelim, or this group of traders that are going down to Mitzrayim, or Egypt. They're coming from Galad, which is the place of the heap, where the covenant was made between Lavan and Yaakov. And they had stuff to go down and sell in Mitzrayim. And Yehuda says, hey, what are we going to gain out of killing him? Let's sell him. All right, and so he says, okay, yeah. So they pulled him up out of that, sold their brother into slavery for 20 pieces of silver. And they took him down, Yoceph, down to Mitzrayim. Think about this for a minute. I mean, it's really easy for us just to read this account and be like, yeah, okay, that's what happened. Because we can see what else happened because of that. It was a blessing for the entire world. The entire world at this point was saved because of the famine that came in the land, and Yoceph was elevated through Elohim. So Yahweh elevated Yoceph, and everything was delivered. Okay? Then people were delivered. They had food during that time. So if this had not occurred, then great starvation, great famine in the area would have occurred physically. So all this stuff was a good thing. We can read that and say, yeah, well, it turned out good in the end. But look at this. Look at what is actually occurring here, though. I have 2 sons, 2 daughters. So I couldn't imagine having 11 sons and then having all of them hate one, to the point to where they want to murder that one, and then instead of doing that, they just sell him into slavery. They sell him, and he's taken away. And then they end up lying to Yaakov about it. Reuben returns, and Yoseph's not there, and he's really upset. He says, the child is not here. He is not. And whither shall I go? He says, what am I going to do? And then so they take Joseph's coat and killed a kid of goats, and they dip the coat in blood, and they send it to their father. The father's very upset. And Yaakov mourns, so he tears his clothes, puts sackcloth on and mourns for his son for many days. And everybody tries to make him feel better, tries to comfort him. But he says, no, I will go down into Sheol unto my son mourning. Unto my son in Sheol mourning. So he says, I'm going to die here sad. There's nothing that's going to make me happy again. So his father wept for him. Midianim sold him into Mitzrayim under Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. Okay, that's where we ended there. All right, we're going to talk further about the other things that we could be discussing that is told to us here, that is also told all throughout his word. But today is the thing that I would like to discuss is how are we, what are we learning here from the brothers, and how is that relating to where we are currently today? Because we are struggling. All of us are struggling. And if a person says, I'm not struggling, then they are very possibly not quite seeing fully the way of YAHUAH. Okay, very possibly. Because we struggle and will struggle until the day breaks and the light comes, which is Yahushua HaMashiach, okay, till the end. We're called to endure, okay, this is a struggle here, but we're called to struggle. Okay, that's our role here now, with knowing the way, knowing what it means. Okay, we're no longer focused on the things of the world, we're focused on the life to come, through Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the light of the world. We have to focus on that, all right, and struggle against these things. And we're seeing the tendencies and the traits of those who are called out as they're being called out. It just doesn't happen. I mean, really, it truly just is not like that. Very, very rarely would it be like that. And I can attest to that because I have been struggling to change to where I'm conforming to the way of Mashiach, as we're told here, to walk as he walked, which is walking in the ways of YAHUAH, okay, to know the way, to be holy as he is holy. And I still find things that I'm not doing, that I never realized through his word. You know, that's why we study this. Didn't realize I'm doing, or I see that I do, but that I know not to do, and I still do it. It just happens like this. And it's not so much like I'm going to go take this from somebody. It happens in the Spirit. And that's what we're really seeing here, is the manifestation of the orientation of the Spirit. Our Ruach. So either it's of the things of the flesh, which brings words of death, or it's I being single on the way of YAHUAH, which brings us his words. So we speak the words of YAHUAH, which brings life. Okay? Love. Love is what it comes down to. We're seeing hatred here, which led to family, these brothers, wanting to kill their other brother. And then instead of doing that and saying, well, why kill him? We're not going to get anything from it. Let's just sell him into slavery. Okay, let's try to get something with that. All right, so we have the fullness of the way of YAHUAH as our example. Okay, he was sent here as our example for how to live the way of Yah, to be complete. Okay, when Yahushua was healing, he was healing on the Sabbath, first of all. We have to pay attention here. Healing on the Sabbath. That's when healing occurs, because that's our day of rest, and that's a blessed day that Yah gives as the sign between his people and him. And that's where we study the way of Yah. We learn and we draw nearer to him on that blessed day, and that's where the healing occurs. The completeness. That's what Yahushua says, you are complete now. Go and sin no more. So the healing from the things that we're discussing is through the fullness or the way of YAHUAH. He's the healing for the nations. So our example here. And our example says he did not come to destroy the way of Yah, the Torah, but to fulfill. Or it's the word in the Greek, because that's where our translations come from, is plerou. Okay, and it's a little bit harder to discuss. It looks like plerou. Hard for me to pronounce it. But it means to fill up, or to be the fullness, or to complete, but not in the way that we look at the word fulfill, where it means to end. Because especially when Yahushua says, I did not come to destroy the law of the prophets, the Torah of the prophets. I didn't come to destroy, but to fulfill. I didn't come to end it, but to live fully, okay, to be the completeness of, for our example, because we're called to walk as he walked. So we have many letters of direction that are given by the apostles. An apostle is somebody that goes out with a message. And that's important for us now, us today, because we need to, first of all, learn the way of Yah. That's why we study the Torah. But we also need to know how to apply it too. Okay, that's why we study Mashiach. Okay, because he is our healing. He is the completeness, the fullness of the way of Yah. So the way of Yah is our healing. It's our completeness. So we have to, now today, knowing that we have this opportunity to repent through the death and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach, we need to know how to do that. Okay? And he gives us how to do that. So with the letters from the apostles, the ones that are sent out with the completeness through Yahushua HaMashiach, they point out the things that we should be focusing on that is of the utmost importance. And it's love. Okay, love. But it's love not the way that we know it. Because of what love, that way that we know it, if we're not following the way of Yah, we're seeing it right now with the sons of Yaakov. It's hate. The words that we speak, even though we say it's out of love, it's not. It's the opposite of that. Our words cause death. Okay? Because what we want today is to continue in the way that we know. And that's being in the darkness. It's being as man. Okay? As Edom or Adam. So that's all that we know here, and we don't really have a desire outside of that. It is a strong struggle. It's a very, very, it's got us in a grip that is really hard to get out of, okay? Really hard to get out of. And it's getting increasingly more challenging for us in this world. But when we are not following the way of Yah, we're in the dark, the words we're speaking is death. So we say, yeah, I love you, but we're actually not. Okay, love is selfless. It's about others. To where the person speaking the words of Yah has given up everything. They don't benefit anything with that. There's no benefit, period. We are just following the way of Yah. Okay, we see the completeness and the fullness because we're made in the image of Yah. And we have the completeness because the Ruach HaKodesh, His Spirit, dwells within us, in us. So we're Yachad, our one, our beloved one. But we can't do that unless we are holy or set apart, sanctified through His Word, through the truth. So, the apostles are pointing these things out, okay? This is with the understanding that the called out are seeking righteousness, which is the Word of Yah, all right? Through the testimony or belief that Yahushua is HaMashiach, that Yahushua is the Messiah. So, let's go to the letter to the Romans and speaking to what love is. Okay, this is really the concern of what we are speaking about now. He begins this, we're in chapter 13, begins chapter 13 speaking about being subject, okay, in this world, to the higher powers. All right, well, let's read it real quick and then we'll discuss it. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of Yahweh. The powers that be are ordained of Yahweh. Whosoever therefore resists the power resists the ordinance of Yahweh, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Which you then not be afraid of the power. Do that which is good, and you shall have praise of the same. for he is the minister of YAHUAH to you for good. But if you do that which is evil, be afraid, for he bears not the sword in vain, for he is the minister of YAHUAH, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that does evil. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are YAHUAH's ministers, continuing continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything, but to love one another. For he that loves another has fulfilled the Torah. For this you shall not break wedlock, you shall not kill, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not lust. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love works no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the Torah. And that, knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our Yeshua nearer than we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. Let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting or drunkenness, not in chambering and in wantonness, not in strife and envying. But put ye on Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. Okay, so he begins talking about submitting yourselves to where you're at. I mean, as far as the laws go. We're not called to try to overthrow and create our own kingdom of Yah, because that'll never happen. Okay, until Yahushua HaMashiach comes back, we're just called to stay under the rulers who are put in place and the powers that are put in place. So there's no power but YAHUAH. The powers that are ordained are ordained of YAHUAH. So we're called to exist in this time that we're in right now, in the history of the world. Being single in the way of Yah. Okay, to put away the lusts of the flesh, but to follow the way of Yah. All right, so we're not trying to overthrow and create. All right, we are just existing. All right, carrying the light, being the light. Okay, waking out of the darkness and putting on the armor of light. And that's reiterated to us in the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach, Kizayon, to Yehukanan, to John. It says that this is the endurance of the saints, or the Kodashim, are those to understand that if we're destined to die by the sword, if we're destined to be in this time of the world, it's going to happen. But we just stay single on the way of YAHUAH. It's what's going to happen is going to happen, because everything is already laid out. It's given to us in the way of Yah. We are just called to wake up, to cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light. So, verse 8, he says, "Owe no man anything, but to love one another. For he that loves another has fulfilled the Torah." Okay, is the completeness of the Torah. That's the Torah, is love. The way of Yah is love. Yahushua HaMashiach is love. But it's through his way. For this you shall not break wedlock, you shall not steal, you shall not kill, shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, you shall not lust. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And that's Vayikra, or Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Okay, back in the Torah. Okay, the way of Yah, the instructions of YAHUAH. And he says, in that, knowing the time, that now is high time to awake out of sleep, to wake up. For now is our Yeshua, our salvation. Yeshua is salvation, nearer than when we believed. The night is far spent, the day is at hand. Okay, going back to what we studied last week. Where the man says, let me go, the day is breaking. Okay, the day is at hand. Let us cast off the works of darkness. All right, let us walk honestly as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying, but put ye on the Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach, and make not the provision of the flesh to fulfill the lusts thereof. Okay, love. Love. Let's go to Yehukanan Rishon, or the first epistle of John, chapter 4. It says, Beloved, believe not every ruach, but try every ruachoth, whether they are of Yah, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know ye the Ruach Yahuwah. Every ruach that confesses that Yahushua HaMashiach has come in the flesh is of Yahuwah. And every ruach that confesses not that Yahushua HaMashiach has come in the flesh is not of Yahuwah. And this is that ruach of anti-Mashiach, whereof ye have heard that it should come, and even now already is in the world. Ye are of Yahuwah, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They that are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world hears them. We are of Yah. He that knows Yahuwah hears us. He that is not of Yahuwah hears us not. Hereby know we the Ruach aimeth truth, and the Ruach of error. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of Yah. And everyone that loves is born of Yah, and knows Yahuwah. He that loves not knows not Yah, for Yah is love. In this was manifested the love of Yahuwah towards us, because that Yahuwah sent his Yachid into the world, that we might live through him. Herein is love, not that we loved Yahuwah, but that he loved us, and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if Yahuwah so loved us, we ought also to love one another. No man has seen Yah at any time. If we love one another, Yahuwah dwells in us, and his love is perfected in us. Hereby know we that we dwell in him, and he in us, because he has given us of his Ruach. And we have seen and do testify that the Father sent the Son to be the Savior of the world. Whosoever shall confess that Yahushua is the Son of Elohim, Yahuwah dwells in him, and he in Yahuwah. And we have known and believed the love that Yahuwah has to us. Yah is love. And he that dwells in love dwells in Yahuwah, and Yahuwah in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. He that fears is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. If man says, I love Yah, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he that loves not his brother whom he has seen, how can he love Yah whom he has not seen? And this commandment have we from him, that he who loves Yah loves his brother also. Okay. So we have love. Okay, love is the fulfillment or the completeness of the way of Yah. And we have how to love our brother, and that's through the way of Yah. So if we say that we love Yah or love Yahushua, but we hate our brother, then we're liars. Okay, because the truth is not in us. The truth is the way of Yahuwah. And wherever we see truth, that's the Torah, or the instructions for his set-apart people, his way, the way of Yahuwah. The completeness thereof is Yahushua HaMashiach, as our example for how to implement the way of Yah into our lives today. So now we know these things. We can see the consequences of hatred right here, with the reaction of Yoceph's brothers, with the hatred, with the desire to murder. They could not speak peaceably. So their murder is a spiritual. And then that manifested into the desire for the physical. They wanted to kill him. Reuben, who seems to be a little further along in the way of Yahuwah, says, don't do that. Just stick him in this hole, and then I'm going to come back and get him. Okay? He says, but don't do that. Don't kill him. Just put him down this hole for now, with his desire to go and save his brother and bring him back to Yaakov. But the brothers decide to sell him instead. Let's just get rid of him. We'll sell him. All right? Hatred, though. Hate is where that manifested. And it was all the desires of the lusts of the flesh, the lust therein, that we're to put away. We're called to put those away. Okay? That is the path that we are to take now. All right? And as we study these things, really it is on us to recognize when we are behaving this way. All right? When the lusts of the flesh are starting to manifest in our spiritual orientation, where if we're sitting there thinking about something that somebody said to us or did to us, or didn't, but we're still thinking that they did, and we're getting upset. We're just getting angry. And then it starts to manifest in our words to where we just hate. I can't take that. And that really makes me really mad. And then let that go long enough, that's going to manifest into the physical. Okay, we need to recognize these things. We have the examples here for us, and we have the words of Mashiach and those that Mashiach sent out with how to integrate the ways of Yah into our lives. And it comes down to relationships. Okay, the first relationship is with Him. We can't reject that relationship. To not profess Yahusha's HaMashiach is to not follow or do what He says to do. He says, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and don't do what I say? Yahusha is YAHUAH. They are the same. He has Spirit of Elohim on Him. They're Yachad. They are the same. They are one. We're called to be Yachad. Okay? We're called to house the Ruach HaKodesh, and we can't do that if we are not set apart or sanctified through His Word. We have to realize these things. Otherwise, we will continue to be liars, as is put here, because the truth, which is the way of YAHUAH, is not in us. So we have to pay attention. Okay. So we'll end there today, and I hope that these words have blessed you as they have blessed me. And I know that today I'm going to be focusing on where my thoughts are, okay, where this is originating from, okay, both out of love through the way of Yah, and if any type of conflict that I have, what is the nature of this conflict? And then how can I rectify, I myself personally, how can I reconcile that conflict through the way of Yah, through the word of Yah? Okay, and we'll be back here tomorrow with our second reading of Parashah Vayashev with our daily brief. Thank you.